Well, for more, I'm joined by Dr. William Wedding, an activist who claims Iran is misunderstood in the United States. Dr. Wedding, thank you very much for joining us. You're claiming there is anti-Iranian propaganda in the United States. What do you mean by that, and who do you think might be interested in such propaganda?
Well, I think that the propaganda against Iran, the depiction of Iran as a warlike nation, as a nation that's composed of mad mullahs who want to unleash an atomic holocaust on Israel, I think that that is really pervasive throughout American news, throughout the mainstream news. There's some variation from time to time in terms of the presentation of Iran. Sometimes it's a little softer, sometimes it's harsher, but again and again we hear the same kind of propaganda from our mainstream sources disguised in ordinary news stories. And one of my articles, which I title somewhat tongue-in-cheek, Iran Attacks the Fifth Fleet, which came out about a year ago, where these boats supposedly attacked these American warships. The whole way that was played is an example of how the American news slants every story so as to make the American people afraid of the intentions of Iran.
Dr. Wedding, let me just ask you a very philosophical question. What is so peculiar about Iran that you have decided to devote your life to fixing its image in the United States?
Well, we've already gotten ourselves involved in a war in Iraq. We've gotten ourselves involved in a war in Afghanistan. I did not see any likelihood that I could do much to prevent a further escalation of those wars. But I thought with Iran, people in the United States have a chance to prevent a war before it starts, and that if we could alert the American people as to the kind of people that Iranians really are, their peaceable intentions, the fact that they have not invaded another country in 200 years, the fact that they've resisted strong provocations from the United States, such as the shooting down of an Iranian airliner in 1989, and they took no retaliatory action. I mean, all this suggests that they don't want war, and it's a war that we're going to thrust upon them for our own economic gain.
Dr. Wedding, and very briefly, do you believe the election will change anything between the U.S. and Iran?
I think that if it goes with Mousavi, that it will make things more difficult for Washington and for Israel to pursue a warlike policy towards Iran. Last week, Daniel Pipes, one of the major neoconservatives here, said quite openly that he wanted Ahmadinejad to win. If we go back to the presidential election of 2005, Bush attempted to influence that direction, that election, in the direction of pushing Ahmadinejad into office by telling reformers, in effect, it makes no difference if you vote, everything's rigged, you might as well stay home. So if a reformist like Mousavi is brought into office and he makes overtures to the United States, it's going to be harder for the United States and Israel to knock Mousavi down, they're hoping that Ahmadinejad will win and that he can continue to be portrayed as the Hitler of Iran. One other thing I would say is that it's very interesting that all these years that Ahmadinejad has been portrayed as the Hitler of Iran, and yet they're having elections, and how do you elect the Hitler?
Dr. Wedding, thank you very much for this indeed.
Yeah.
That was Dr. William Wedding. Thank you very much for your opinion.